Welcome in to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Good evening and welcome to Greenville Grit. I'm Terry Williams.
And I'm Michael Overton. And Terry, it's the first time I think I've seen you in a month for the last 3 or 4 shows. We either you've been out or I've been out. So it's good to see you tonight. Got a great show tonight. We got Scott Senator. Yeah. That's the way you say it, right? Senator. That's
right.
Okay, I got to put the pronunciation on that. He is president of our Greenville Pitt Chamber of Commerce for, you've been a little over a year now?
Year and a half.
Okay,
That's
man.
great.
But I've
Awesome.
been at the chamber for about 8 years.
All right.
Going on 9.
Well, Scott's going to be on the show tonight. We're going to talk about the chamber, some of the events you guys have got coming up, really what you do for the city, in the city, and how you promote the city. But before we do that, we got to talk about how the show itself is promoted, Terry.
That's right.
We got a few
of
sponsors to mention. Greenville Toyota. If you're looking for a new Toyota or Scion vehicle or a new used car, go see Craig Gillis and the Greenville Toyota team at greenvilletoyota.com, 321-3000, or go see them across from Fresh Market on Memorial Drive.
That's right.
Kidd Construction Group, Bill Kidd and the Green Builder. If you're looking for a new home or renovation for a home and green construction of that, see Bill Kidd at kcgbuildgreen.com, or you can look him up on Facebook. They have Ribeyes Steakhouse. We like to talk about
One of my
ribeyes.
favorite places to eat.
At the corner of Fire Tower and Arlington Boulevard, as well as the location in Williamston. If you mention Greenville Grit, you get a surprise. And please make sure you support those sponsors, as well as the Overton Group, real estate professional serving all of Eastern North Carolina, and commercial real estate leasing, sales, business brokerage, residential brokerage, and property management. So we are going to take our
list.
It is. It is. We can keep going if you want to, but we got to get to Scott here. So we're going to take our 2-minute commercial break, come back, and we'll start talking to Scott.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the Greenville Grit. I am Michael Overton, along with my co-host Terry Williams. Terry, we're just talking. We have just crossed 2 years of doing this show.
We have in our second year.
Just torturing the city residents of Greenville for having to listen to us 3 times a week.
Hopefully we're providing them with the information they need, just like our name, Greenville Residents in Touch.
That's correct. Well, we're going to get them in touch today with Scott Senator, president of the Greenville Pitt Chamber of Commerce. Scott, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. You've been doing this for 2 years, and every time before you film this, the chamber films its show.
That's
so
right.
I'm glad finally that I guess good enough to get on this show.
Oh.
So we've crossed paths plenty of times.
Hey, man, we would love to have had you on earlier, but
Yes.
you're so big and important in the city. I mean, we didn't know
I'm
how to get on your
busy.
calendar. So we're able to pin you. You're not walking out that door sitting. So
Yeah.
we're here. But look, I think a lot of people, now I'm familiar with the Chamber of Commerce, being in business in Greenville all the years, very important function within the city, but you've been president a year and a half. Let's talk about the chamber, what the mission of the chamber is, what it does for the city, for the residents, for business, and really promoting our city.
Yeah, this is a good question. A chamber in general is fairly common amongst cities all across the country and probably in most parts of the world too. It's kind of a fascinating entity. It's an organization where businesses and volunteers come together and they figure out the ways in which they can meet the needs of the business community. So in sum, our mission is to build the strongest business climate in Eastern North Carolina, but another way to say that is just to serve the interests of the business community, the businesses in town. So we're a voice for business, have been for many years, and I think it's always fascinating kind of the roots of this chamber, and if you don't mind, I'll just share it.
No, we
with you.
want to hear. We got 30 minutes to fill up, man, so let's have it.
Okay. I don't have that long, but I'll start. In the early 1900s, at the time in higher education, there were normal schools. And so basically there were schools for women to learn how to become teachers. So when education went from private to public, there's a need for teachers. So normal schools came about to create teachers. And there were normal schools in the early 1900s around the Raleigh area and west. And so citizens of Eastern North Carolina, if they wanted to attend school, the normal school would have to drive to do that to Raleigh or west. And at some point in Raleigh, they decided that we need a normal school in Eastern North Carolina. So one of the major players in that was Greenville, and of course some of the other cities around us, Little Washington, New Bern, Kinston, et cetera, were all vying for the chance to have, the Raleigh approved to have a normal school in Eastern North Carolina. So the chamber was actually formed by Senator Fleming, who was a senator at the time, our office is the Fleming House. It was
Right.
his house. That's where we have our office. He was loosely formed to lobby for, at that time, and I think it's East Carolina Teachers Training School. So, the chamber was kind of put together loosely for that purpose. I think there was 100 folks, volunteers, that kind of organized themselves, called themselves a chamber, and of course they were successful. And now East Carolina Teachers Training School has turned into East Carolina University, which is the third largest public university in the state. And the chamber incorporated officially many years later, probably around the late 70s, I believe. And so, kind of from its beginning, it's had that kind of impact on this area. I mean, this ECU is a huge part of what Greenville is and what it's become. So,
But the roots of ECU, the roots of the chamber were formed about the time East Carolina was formed because of a group of business guys getting together.
that's
and
exactly
pushing.
right, and that's kind of the power of the chamber, right? The lesson in that is when you have a group of business leaders and volunteers that can get together and kind of have that much influence or have that influence in a positive way on a community. I mean, it's just been fascinating. You can find stories of those kinds of impact across the country with other chambers too. There's a book that just came out recently about chambers of commerce across the country and some of those kind of ECU-like stories that they've had in their cities and towns. And sometimes, I'm not sure how many people know the chamber was organized here for, ECU eventually. It's kind of a neat thing. So
Right.
ever since that day, we've been moving along strong and been doing things that, not that the staff wants to do, but get the input from the businesses, and we kind of move in that direction. So.
Well, knowing that obviously the chamber made such a huge influence then, you're competing against obviously many other cities with many other chambers. What do you do to set yourself apart, or what are we doing as the chamber within Greenville to set ourselves apart and promote Greenville? I hate to say just to beat the other guys, but that's we're all out there to try to bring business in.
Yeah, well, first to answer that question, you have to understand there's all sorts of chambers all the way down to small communities with 100 or 200 members up to the United States Chamber and everything in between with state chambers, et cetera. So, and we're not tied to the state chamber. We're not tied to the United States Chamber. We're separate entities. Although we're members of those organizations, they don't like dictate what we do, or we don't abide by their policies and procedures. We're our own organization. So to answer your question, in my opinion, a chamber can only be as good as the support of its business community, right?
Right.
There's no government funds. It's completely funded and supported by businesses. So we have members, and those members are businesses, and there's 1,000 of them.
Members are there now?
1,000.
1,000?
I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
Yeah,
We are too.
both of you. Yeah, both of
Yeah.
you are. And so those folks pay dues, and of course we take those dues and kind of pump it back into the community. To answer your question as to how we kind of gauge how well we're doing, in that newspaper
Yes.
right there, you'll see
That comes within the Daily
Excellent.
Reflector.
Comes in the
Is it
newspaper.
once a week?
It's
once a month.
once a
once a
month.
month, okay.
This one's March's, and
And
it's
just to see it's the
just
business
full
partner
of information.
little flyer.
In that paper is we just recently got accredited at the highest level that you can be accredited as a chamber. So the United States Chamber hands down levels of accreditation based on an application process, et cetera, and we were a 5-star, which is the highest level you can get, the top
great.
1% in the entire country, and in fact the only chamber in the state of North Carolina with that designation. So
Congratulations.
I remember, yes, I remember
Fantastic.
reading about that. I think that was in the business section of the Daily Reflector not
it
so long
was
ago.
a few weeks ago.
Yes,
the
it
the
was.
rep from the U.S. Chamber came to our board meeting and presented us with the plaque. And, people have been congratulating the chamber, but it's really congratulations to Greenville and Pitt County, right? Because they're the ones that support us. They're the ones
Right.
that they're on our board. They're paying the dues. They're asking for the programming, and we're delivering on that. So what
Right.
that means is we're, according to the U.S. Chamber in the process, we're impacting the community. We're a good steward of member money. We're making a difference. We're active in public policy, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And there's a list of criteria in there. So, again, this community, and you know this from being here many years, it's not just the chamber that they support. This community is very supportive of a lot of nonprofits, that are making a difference. So it's just great to be a part of this community and see it grow.
So if a business is looking for areas or cities in North Carolina that they want to come to, Is there a guide within the U.S. Chamber information? Where would they start if they said, I want to pick 5 cities in Greenville, we're going to investigate how's their economic development, what kind of policies do they have? Do they look to you all almost, not first necessarily, but probably to see what kind of impact their coming to our community will make and what benefits they can get from us?
Yeah, it's a good question. It depends on the community. So in some communities, the chamber is the same operation as economic development for the city and the county, and the same as CVB. So you may go Greensboro, for example. If you go there, under one roof, you got the chamber, the CVB, and economic development.
Okay.
Here it's different. Here it's the chamber is a standalone entity, the CVB is a standalone entity, and now we have 2 economic development entities with the city and the county. So they may get to us first just through website, or they may
Right.
stop in and see us. And when that happens, we provide them with information, but we quickly pass them on to the experts in economic development field, which in most cases is the city ED or the county ED, depending on who the company is and
Right.
what they're looking for. But once we do that, at some point, it's possible that we get back in on the process if the process warrants it. So they may be interested in things like, what's it like to do business here? How do we get connected? And that's where we come back in. But, you know, you got Wanda Uhas at the Pitt County Development Commission, does a great job, and Carl Reese with the city's
Right.
Economic Development Office does a great job. And you know that city's ED office is fairly new. I think
Right.
it's only about 2 years
2
old.
to maybe
Yeah.
3 years, might be in our 3rd year for
Well,
it.
I'm not sure the public, and this is going back to when you were saying, you know, what your mission is and so forth. I think a lot, for many, many years, the public probably thought the chamber was more like a welcoming, not that you're not a welcoming committee, so to speak, but I don't think that they realized, because for a long time I didn't either, the impact that you have because of your mission to inform and connect business people together of all sorts, not just the small business, but you're, I'm sure, getting the impact from the industry, manufacturing, everything,
That's what's
and the
fascinating.
schools and everything.
Everything. So when we say we serve the needs of business, well, business to you is different from business from
Right.
Terry, and business from Terry and Michael may be different from business of a bank or a hospital. Business is different to everybody. So our challenge, but it's a good challenge because we have a lot of business, is to make sure that we are walking the line of doing enough for everybody to where everybody can feel involved and engaged. So we represent, like you said, the large industry in town, all the way down to the small 1 or 2 person
Right.
show and everything in between. And what the smaller 2-person shop wants out of the chamber is different than what the large industry
Right.
wants out of the chamber, and of course everywhere in between too. So, yeah, I think if we do work in economic development through collaborative efforts, workforce development, connecting, public policy, and I think if we had to hang our hat on one of those, it's the connections.
Right.
I mean, we're the place if you're looking to get plugged in, meet people, understand the businesses here, develop relationships. The chamber's the best place for that in town, for sure.
Well, you've got a big event coming up. You do this every year for however how many years. I don't know which one this is, but you want to talk about the Business Expo that's coming up?
Sure. Yeah, and that's a good example of every year we kind of gauge what members are interested in, what we're doing well, what we need to do, what we're not doing, et cetera. And about 8 years ago, through some survey feedback, we had some overwhelming response. We had some folks say, you know, Greenville's too big not to have an expo. We had industry-specific trade shows, you know, like the Home and Garden Show, and the PCC does the Holiday Show, which is specific to
Right.
retail. But folks were like, we're saying, you know, why don't we have just a general exposition of all the businesses in Greenville and Pitt County? Because I think to most, not everyone is aware initially of what we can buy here, right? So when we have a Go Local campaign going, so when you're interested in a product or service, if we feel like during that day, that event under one roof, if we can get about 120 or 130 folks, it gives the citizens and the visitors a chance to see how diversified our businesses are here, and that you can get most anything you need from right here in our own backyard. And if that's the case, then we need to promote making sure that happens. And so that day is simply showing off our businesses to the general public, and we do it for about a day, 8 to 3. It's not quite a full day.
Right.
At the convention center. Of course, tickets are right there. You can get in at no cost.
So you have booths and for people to display their businesses and what they have to offer the public, but then it looks like you have other things going on. Is this training or this community summit within this expo, or is that something different?
No, it's that.
This
So-
is awesome right here, the community summit. They
Right.
have-
So the community summit was Interbanks Media last
Mm-hmm.
year did the community summit. It was at the 400 St. Andrews.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right.
We
where
were
they-
there.
Where you guys were there, where they had, so you knew exactly what it was. For those that are watching and may not have heard about it, it was, they had leaders come and speak in like a panel format, and then they accepted questions on topics like public safety,
Right.
healthcare, higher education, Greenville's future, economic
Yeah, I believe what
development.
every hour he had a different
That's what
message. I mean, he
this
had the
is,
police
6 1 hour.
chief Hassan Aden, who's unfortunately no longer with us. But I think he also had Brian Brown, Louis Pate,
They had
some of
some
the city
legislative-
council members, the mayor. I mean, I'm sure you were probably on there for 1 hour.
I was
also.
there with the economic development
Yeah.
folks and the CEO, Biden at that time,
I mean,
Dr.
for
Herman.
Yeah.
really being able to get to know what's going on, if you spend the 7 hours or ever how long he was
Yeah.
on, listening
It's
to
about
that, you
6
can learn a
hours, I
lot
think.
about the community.
You can, and
Yes.
so when I went, I thought, man, this is a really good event, and
But
it'd
this
be-
is separate from the expo.
this is going to be at the expo.
So
This
last
is-
year, that wasn't the case.
No,
it was-
Okay,
we
I want to
partnered.
make sure, yeah.
Yeah, we partnered. So this
Oh,
year,
that's good,
when you
okay.
clip out that ticket and turn it in, and
Mm-hmm.
you attend the expo, you not only get to see and meet with businesses, you also get a chance just to pop in and
Right.
listen to the summit,
Okay.
depending on what time you come.
Great.
And then also we give, since it's a business expo, we partner with TAF Office, who's
Mm-hmm.
a great partner. They give away a fantastic office. So they bring
I
it in
need
on
that.
display. All you have to do is attend to come, and you drop
Mm.
your business card in, and we'll do a raffle. And then, of course, it's just the amount of time that the businesses put into their booth space. They're so talented, so creative. They make the convention center look fantastic. And just to get out and meet people and learn about what they do and how they do it is just
Right.
fascinating. So you can spend a whole day there if your boss lets you. But really, you can get through that whole convention center in about an hour if you want. So all we're asking is just from that 8 to 3 time slot, if you can just come and
come
spend
in.
30 minutes to an hour to support the local economy, that'd be fantastic. And if you don't mind, I'm going to add one more thing to the
Sure.
expo. We launched a Go Local campaign, Go Local Greenville, last fall, and there's a few components to it. And we launched Shop Local during the holiday season, and now during the expo, we're launching Hire Local.
Oh, great.
So when businesses sign up for the expo, they can tell us that they are interested in the Hire Local component, which means their HR team will be on hand. So those folks that are interested in learning about career opportunities, so it goes in Greenville, they can come, and the businesses that have accepted to have that interaction with the visitors will be there ready to go. This is what it takes. If you have a resume, you can give it to them, and so that way folks can learn about some of the career opportunities we have here. Because I think even
That's
that
awesome.
sometimes is
Yeah.
it's hard for
It's
folks to
hard.
find out.
It is.
Right.
And
So,
it-
so basically, to recap what this event, it is on April 8th at the Greenville Convention Center, 8 o'clock to 3 p.m.
Yes.
You can get little clip ads out of the newspaper and probably even some other places to admit. It's only, I think, a $2 entrance fee otherwise.
Right.
But if you are looking to see who businesses are here in Greenville, it's a good way to do it. But if you're also looking for jobs, opportunities, that's there.
Yes.
And possibly even the opportunity to win an office makeover.
Yeah, yeah.
So that recaps are pretty good.
And attend the community forum. So there's a
Right,
lot,
absolutely.
a lot to do. Yeah, and the tickets are also on our website, greenvillenc.org/expo.
Okay.
Just print them out, and right, you shouldn't have to pay the $2 admission fee. You walk up with a ticket, and you should be good to go.
Awesome.
That's
Well,
great.
you've got a couple other things going on too. Again, we want to make sure that you're having an opportunity to present the chamber to let people know everything that you've got going on in this community. You had the Small Business Awards Breakfast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, May 5th, during National Small Business Week. It's been a staple of this chamber for a while. We have the Small Business Awards Breakfast in partnership with First Citizens Bank, and that is where we honor the Small Business Leader of the Year award. So one of the things I didn't touch on earlier, we have 1,000 member businesses, but probably about 75 to 80% would be what we classify as small business. And our definition of small is 25 or less.
Right.
Some definitions, they go up to 100 or more or
Mine
less.
would actually be teeny business at the
Yeah.
very bottom of that. But
So we honor the Small Business Leader of the Year, and it has to be a business of 25 or less employees, and it's an application, almost like a peer application process.
Right.
So we're soliciting nominations, and then they fill out a process, and we hand out that award at that breakfast. So
Awesome.
it's great.
That's fantastic. And lastly, you have the Eastern 2015 Women's Show.
Yes, for the working women in our community.
And you better know what all about this, Scott. We were picking on you a little earlier, so get it right.
I need to get Dalen and Lynn on the show to help.
Would you like to read it? No.
It says Friday, April 24th, 9 to 12. Tell us what it is and where it is.
Yeah, that's also at the Greenville Convention Center, and it's a fascinating partnership. So, the Reflector and Mixer, or Her magazine, does the Her shopping spree.
That's right.
And so, and the Chamber had traditionally done its women's conference, and they've been separate. So this year, all summer, we're working. It's the same kind of purpose, the same demographic. So we said, let's partner. So this year, during the morning on April 24th, the Chamber's Women's Conference, which we're calling the Women's Show, will take place. And we have a series of speakers, and it's headlined by the chef at On the Square.
Which
at
is
Scarborough.
probably one of the best restaurants in Eastern North Carolina.
That's what I've heard. I haven't been
Yeah.
yet, but I've heard.
Oh, you need to
Inez
It is
Rubistello, I
fantastic.
think.
Yeah.
She's coming. She's our featured speaker. She's got a great story. And then there's also a couple other sessions during the morning. But then the great thing is, after the show, which ends at 12, then folks can spill into the Her shopping spree. And it's all, you don't have to leave and come back. It's all
Right.
one entry fee. And then also ECU is a great partner in their AMO department, which is their fashion department. We'll do some sort of fashion show towards the end of the night. So just
That's
an
interesting.
all-out, great day for the working women in Pitt County. And all the registration stuff's online, greenvillenc.org. And that-
So between the Business Expo, the Small Business Awards Breakfast, the Eastern 2015 Women's Show, and you've got a ton of other events that you guys
So
are doing.
many things you
Where
all
do
do.
people get the information for this?
Yeah, that's a good question. It can be daunting. We do over 120 programs and events
Amazing.
a year. So in theory, we tell members all the time, you can spend a third of your year with us, but we would advise that you don't do that because then your business might
It would
suffer.
hurt.
It would hurt. So, the easiest thing to do, a lot of the stuff that we have is on our website, which is greenvillenc.org. But if you're not a chamber member yet and you're interested in it, what you can't find online, we have, a team member that can help you with that. And I
And
think
the
that-
Fleming House is downtown, right in Uptown Greenville, so
right in the middle
pretty
of
easy to
uptown
find.
Greenville. Yeah,
It
essentially
is.
right across the street from
Off of,
Greenville
is it Pitt
Utilities.
Street?
It's on
Reed and
Gr-
Third.
Reed and Third,
Green and
okay.
Third.
Green and
Corner of
Third.
Green and
Green
Third,
Third.
okay. Well, look, we've got to take our quick second two-minute commercial break. We'll come right back. We'll wrap up the show with Scott Senator from the Greenville Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome back to Greenville Grit. We've had an awesome guest today, Scott Senator with the Chamber, filling us in on all the activities that you engage in our community, and it's really a little overwhelming. You stayed quite busy.
We do stay
We
busy.
only got 120. I don't understand what the problem is.
I know, really.
Just have tons of time.
One thing that we didn't get to mention, which you might want to just say, we don't have a lot of time left, but you all also do the power lunches.
Yes,
And that's once a month?
once a month. Third Tuesday of each month
Okay.
at the Hilton. And those are designed to be speakers around important community issues and topics.
That are happening at the moment.
That are
So
happening
I know
at the
this
moment.
week, you already had this, but you talked about the proposal about lengthening the city council terms, and Dave Hollick had covered that and other issues with the
Yes.
city, so I'm sure that was interesting. I could not be there, but I wish I could have.
It was great information,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the point. And sometimes we go with the local folks, and sometimes we go to Raleigh, and in some
Right.
cases get some federal speakers. So yeah, put that. And the great thing is it's third Tuesday, so just mark
Right.
your calendar.
Third Tuesday, that's
Yeah.
right.
Well, and
you don't have to be a member of the chamber to attend.
You do
It
not.
just costs a little bit more.
Right,
That's
$3 more. That's
Okay,
right.
great.
But you won't be able to join the chamber, and it's not just businesses that you want to join. You want individuals to join because of what you guys do is to continue to support the community to bring people in.
That's right. The money,
That's
the money
right.
that we get in, it gets pumped right back into the community in a lot of different ways.
So go to
That's awesome.
greenvillenc.org, join the chamber, go to some of these events, and just call Scott directly on a cell phone. I'm sure he won't mind if you got any questions. Well, we're going to wrap our show up. Again, we got to thank our sponsors, Greenville Toyota, Kidd Construction Group, Ribeye Steakhouse, and the Overton Group. We appreciate you joining in. You can also catch us on 6:30 Friday night, 9:30 Saturday morning on Cable 7.
That's right.
Or anytime on YouTube. So
right.
until then, we will see you next week.